Annuity. Do. All right. Welcome back to the I Love Annuities podcast. I am Jeremiah Conjure.
And I am Zachary Van Ness, and together we are the Annuity Dudes.
Today's episode hits close to home for a lot of people. We're talking about something most retirees wish they had, and that's a pension. And most importantly, how to recreate one if you don't have one.
Yeah, and what we're diving into today is really just the pros and cons of keeping that existing pension that you've got, that traditional pension, versus taking a lump sum of money and rolling that into an annuity with a lifetime income guarantee.
Yeah, so once upon a time, pensions were the gold standard. It was pretty simple. You work for 30 years and boom, monthly checks for life. In addition, and again, always pulling in some Tom Hegna content, he always talks about how you'd have a party, a retirement party, you'd get the Rolex watch from your company, and then you got those monthly paychecks for life, which was that pension back then.
Yeah, and really when we look at it today, who's lucky enough to have a pension? There's very few. Really, when we consider that, it's about 15% of the private sector that actually have a defined benefit pension. The rest of us, then we've got to figure out a 401k and what the heck we need to do with it. And like we've talked about before, I've said this on previous episodes, is just that now we're left to figure it out. And I didn't ever take a class in high school or college to figure out what to do with a 401k and how to manage retirement. So here we are left to make our own decisions and figure that out on our own.
Yeah, the 401k was touted as the benefit to the people. In exchange for getting a pension, you got access to a 401k, which allows you to write off your contributions to that 401k each year against your earned income. Pretty good benefit there. In addition to that, you also get portability. So you're not handcuffed to any employer and having to work with them for a longer period of time than you may wish to. So it gives you the ability to transfer that 401k, keep the money that you've contributed, and then move on to another employer where you can either, most of the time, you'd establish a new 401k there. But really, it was a ruse. And I've talked about this in previous episodes where the 401k was designed ultimately by Wall Street. And it was even influenced to be a good deal by Wall Street. But why? There was bias there. And that was simply because they knew that money would now start flowing into Wall Street and they would be able to charge their fees and their commissions and all those things that go along with that. And it was all touted to be this great thing. But really, what it was it was the corporations that were benefiting the most because they were able to take that risky asset in what we are calling a pension and remove that from their balance sheet. When they had those pension funds that they were responsible for, it really posed a lot of risk to the corporations, and it was long-term risk that a lot of those risks were really unknown. With people aging and getting healthier and living a longer life, that longevity risk was prevalent. And so the corporations saw that, they were privy to it, and they ended up, really getting behind the 401k. In addition, the government is who also influenced the positioning of the 401k because they were also offering not just the employee as a tax write-off to contribute to a 401k, but they were also influencing the corporations by giving them also a tax write-off to those contributions in the form of a match. So when you hear somebody's matching, it's not because they want to just be generous and nice. It's because they're able to write that off. So with that being said, even for those that are still lucky enough today to have a pension, many are now being offered a lump sum option, especially in corporate America. And we're actually hearing from the research studies that most people are considering that lump sum option. And while I do believe that can be a good decision, and it probably is the right decision in most cases, I think giving up a guaranteed income stream is a bad decision. And the reason I feel that way is because of the research that shows that having a guaranteed income stream in combination with Social Security is the optimal way to create that foundation of retirement income. And what else that leads to and optimizes is being able to stay disciplined in the rest of your estate and assets, with those investments now being growth assets that are outside of that guaranteed income foundation, and that those can now stay true to the markets and grow over time, so that you have a lump sum that's building and building and building, and being it can then be utilized for things like leisure, contingencies, unexpected spending shocks, and ultimately legacy. So foregoing the guaranteed income stream, in my opinion, is not the right thing to do, unless you have that covered with other guaranteed sources.
Yeah, and that's where we take a look at it from our end. If we're not moving forward with that pension, or if you just want to compare, then we take a look at it from that angle, and that's where we really define that lump sum buyout, right? What is that? When we're considering the pension, well, I've got this one tool that's going to give me income for life in the pension. I've got this other tool that's a lump sum buyout. How do I make that decision? It's just knowing your options that are out there. So that lump sum buyout, when your employer offers to give you that, it's your pension money now. It's in a lump sum instead of paying you out monthly for your life.